Most children learn about God. Some children have learned from God Himself. In this Sai Bhagavatam series, Together in Time, we will hear stories of children who learned from the divine form of Satya Sai Baba, lessons that transform lives and last a lifetime.
Sai Ram. My journey with Swami started when I was 7 years old. I was born in Glendale, California, a suburb of Los Angeles. And my mom had heard about Swami through a family friend. After reading a couple books on Swami, she had found where the nearest center was, which was the Hollywood Center. And we started attending bhajans on Friday. She learned about the Bhavikas program, which is the SSE program, and had enrolled me into the program. Bhavikas was held on Sunday. So this is how our weeks would go. Friday we would go to center for bhajans, and Sunday we would go to Bhavikas. After a few months, summer break was coming up, and Mom felt that we should go and see Swami in Puttaparthi. And so that was our first trip to Puttaparthi. Mom, Dad, me, and my brother had the opportunity to see Swami. After that, throughout the years, we made several trips to Puttaparthi, and most of our summer vacations were spent there. Wanted to narrate a couple of stories of interactions I had with Swami and the impact that Swami has had on my life. When I was young, like many teenagers, I felt that my mother didn't quite understand me. And of course, I always felt that I was right and she was wrong. And we had differences of opinions, which is very common, I'm sure. Most people can relate to. And so we would have our little disagreements, and afterwards I would retreat into my room and cry. And no one knew that I was doing this. It was just something that I did in the evening time. I would cry and cry myself to sleep. So one such summer vacation, we had gone to Puttaparthi, and Swami had called us in for an interview. Now, how interviews worked was that Swami would call us and we would go and sit on the veranda. And then when Swami was ready, he would usher us into this small room. There would be several other people. So on this occasion, my family, it was my mom, my dad, and my brother, and myself, we went into the room and sat down. And in the outside room, which is a small room that can fit maybe 15, 20 people tightly, all there is in the room is an empty room with Swami's chair and a fan. So we would all go in, sit down wherever we found space, and then Swami would come in behind us, close the door, turn on the light, and turn on the fan, and then sit down on the chair. In the outside room, this small room, Swami would generally ask questions to people. He would answer spiritual questions. And then he would take individual families or individual people at times into a smaller room, which was called the inner interview room. So on such occasion, Swami had called us in and took us into this inner interview room. And as he spoke to my mom and dad and my brother about various things. And then he turned to me. And Swami was gracious enough to speak to me in English. He would sometimes speak to my parents and even my brother in Hindi, but to me, he would speak to me in English. And he said to my parents and my brother that were sitting there that she cries at night and goes to sleep, and turned to me and said, "Do not cry. Don't cry. Don't be nervous." And I was a very nervous person and still am to that fact. And so he mentioned that, and he said, "How will you become a doctor if you cry and you're nervous?" Now, I should say that Swami had previously asked me to study medicine and go into medicine. But at that time, I was young, and so he had mentioned this incident by saying, how will you go become a doctor if you cry and are nervous? And then after that, he took his hand and he patted me on the head twice, giving me his blessings. Of course, when I went back to reflect, so much to think about of what Swami's telling us here. Swami not only is telling me that he was with me in every single episode that I would go in and cry, but why should I be crying when he is with me? I had no reason. And that it is important for me to be confident. In whatever we do in life, we must have confidence. We must turn to him and have this confidence. We may go through challenges. Life is full of challenges. Swami says, life is a challenge, meet it. And we will have challenges at school, at work, with friends, with family. But it's important to remember that he is always with us and he knows everything that is going on. So we must turn to him. And even to this day, when I'm nervous at work or in any situation, I take a step back, take a couple of seconds. That's all it takes to remember Swami and pray to him and say, Swami, I'm in a situation, I need your help. Please speak through me, be with me. And for me, it has worked. And I feel, not only do I feel that he's with me, but that situation changes. It dissolves or becomes a better situation for me. The second incident I'd like to share occurred a couple of years after that. I had a very bad habit of not wanting to help out around the house. And I was very strategic about it. If I could figure out a way to escape doing work, I would. And one of my weaknesses was TV. I love watching TV. And so what would happen is, if I could, I'd rather watch TV than go, for example, help my mom in the kitchen. And the way our house is situated is that the kitchen is right next to the room that has the TV. So I can see my mom working in the kitchen, and my mom can see me watching TV. And oftentimes my mom would ask for help, but I was very lazy about it, and I would just sit and watch TV, and at some point she would stop asking me. So this had gone on for several years, and as I grew up. And in one such incident, we had gone to birthday again, and Swami had again called us for an interview. And during that interview, again, he had mentioned things to my family and had spoken to them, and then turned to me and said, you try to escape. You go and watch TV, and your mom is in the kitchen cooking. I was so embarrassed, of course, because Swami had said it in front of everybody. But not only that, it was more to remind me what is my duty and what I should be doing. When my mom is in the kitchen cooking and washing dishes and things, shouldn't I be there helping her? Why should I be sitting here and watching TV? That's not correct. And so, even to this day, now that it's many, many years, I still remember the times when I had done that, and now feel guilty about it, of course. But that Swami is telling us, again, not only that he was here in our house with us, witnessing this, but how he has corrected me that this is not the right way. It's very important that service that we do, we have to do service in the house. We have to help our parents. We have to help when they need our assistance, and not be sitting there and watching TV, but also trying to escape doing work. It's very important that we try to help them out. So through these two short incidences, I learned that it's very important to remember that Swami is always with us. He knows what is happening through our lives, even though we may not think that he is with us. He is. And that we must take that moment to remember that in any situation, He is right there to turn to. Thank you, and Sai Ram.